Hi, Karen. Thank you for being here and thank you for giving us this opportunity to interview you. We're so delighted to have you. Um, we've gathered a bunch of questions that I'm going to ask you, but before we do that, I would like you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and Aurit Mediation Center.
Thank you so much, Laurina, for having me here today. And my name is Karen Aurit. I am the co-founder and director of the Aurit Center for Divorce Mediation, along with my husband. We founded the Aurit Center about 10 years ago when we saw that there was a need for families to go through their divorce process in a healthier way. And so we dedicate every day with our team to helping our clients go through their process in the best way possible and avoid court. We are also professors at the Arizona State University and Pepperdine School of Law as well, where we teach divorce and family mediation to students who want to become mediators.
I did not know that. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us. So glad, so delighted to have you here, Karen. I'm going to start with the first question. What is mediation and how does it work?
Yes, that is the foundational question, Laurina. And so to really truly understand mediation, we need to first understand what is divorce litigation? What is the alternative? And divorce litigation, some people may know, but many do not know, is when one spouse hires an attorney and the other spouse hires an attorney. And their attorneys are the ones that battle in court. Their attorneys are fighting against one another and they bring their arguments to the judge, and the judge is the one who decides what spouse one gets, what spouse two gets, and it's up to the judge. So mediation, on the other hand, is when both people come together with the help of a third-party neutral mediator and discuss all agreements together. So really, you have complete control over all of your agreements. All of the paperwork's handled, everything is filed for you. And instead of a judge deciding what's happening to you in your divorce, you decide what happens and a judge will stamp off on your agreements. So with us, you stay completely out of court the entire time.
It's very, very encouraging for people that don't want to go to court and spend a lot of time and money to go to court and leave their cases with the judges. Next, on to the second question. What are the benefits of mediation? Speaking of mediation.
Oh my goodness, there are so many benefits. Let's start with some of the top ones.
Yes.
We've got mediation will save you money. And we all know that's something that we need to hold on to when we're getting divorced. We want to make sure that we're spending our money wisely.
Absolutely.
But mediation is actually, Laurina, 80 to 90% less expensive than if you were to hire your attorney, pay a retainer fee, and fight in court. Because mediation with us is a flat fee for the whole process. You know exactly where you stand. Whereas in court, you're going to pay a retainer fee to each attorney. And as soon as that's gone, and you need to replenish that retainer. So just to give you an idea of what it is on average right now, it's about 18 to 20,000 per spouse. And this is 40,000 total average per spouse for an uncontested divorce. What does uncontested divorce mean? That means it's a divorce that goes to court, but it does not go to trial. So if you add trial in it, it can be upwards of 100,000 or more. So mediation is 80 to 90% less expensive. And that is main issue number one. Another reason is time. Mediation is about on average, about 2.5 to 4 months in mediation from beginning to end. And it can absolutely go longer if needed. Some clients need longer, and you can go at your own pace. Whereas court can be 9 months, a year, 2 years, or more.
Wow.
So you're going to have less time. And also, mediation lowers stress levels because it's less adversarial. You're not coming into battle in mediation, you're coming together to reach agreements that you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Whereas in court, it's a lose-lose. You leave court, you feel like you've lost. In
Yeah.
mediation, it's a win-win. It lowers that stress. And ultimately, that stress helps children
Yeah.
because children are the ones who pick up on that stress.
Absolutely.
So it's better for their families. So those are some of the advantages.
Yeah, I completely agree. Time and money. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of specifically, especially a lot of women, a lot of women are stay-at-home moms. They don't have the money, they don't have the time. So, mediation can be a facilitator, can be something that they can use and utilize before hiring an attorney. Such great information, Karen. But how does it work if one of the spouses is difficult or high conflict?
Great question. And obviously, there's always a level of conflict in divorce, even when you're in mediation. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there in the first place.
Right.
We see all levels of conflict, and people ask, is it okay if we're not getting along, if we're fighting all the time? Can I still enter mediation? And the answer is absolutely. It doesn't matter if you don't like your spouse, if you don't want to sit in the same room, you can still come to mediation and reach agreements. The first piece of advice I'd give is if you are experiencing high conflict, do the opposite of what you think. Don't go to court. Don't hire attorneys to battle in court. Come to mediation. Not saying you can't have attorneys, and I'm sure we'll touch on that
Cover
later.
that. Yeah.
But stay out of court because that's just going to take it to another level. So you want to enter mediation. Mediation will help you lower your stress. You want to also find an excellent mediator. You want to find someone experienced and ask them questions and make sure you feel comfortable. Somebody who knows how to handle high conflict. And you can ask them prior, what is your experience with high conflict and how do you manage that? So you can understand how they manage that in the room. And also, it's good to find other professionals like yourself, a divorce coach, to help you along the way. And also a legal advisor, an attorney, not to represent you, but an attorney who can help give you advice along the way.
Yes.
So these are some specific people that you might need in your corner.
Very important. Thank you for sharing that, Karen. Let's see. Can we use an attorney if we are going through mediation?
Yes, you absolutely can. In fact, we advise our clients to, and here's why. It's different from hiring an attorney and battling. When we say use attorneys, we as mediators, we provide knowledge of the law. We can tell you what you might find on google.com, like what you might find of Arizona law, but we can't actually advise you to do anything with that information. It's knowledge for you, and then we help you reach agreements. So when you have an attorney by your side for maybe between meetings, just to look over your agreements, or when we draft your documents to give them a read over, what you're doing is you're able to seek legal advice during the course of mediation. And that really helps a lot of our clients feel safe and secure that they can come to mediation, reach their agreements, and then between meetings say, can you look this over? Can you guide me? Is this seem like it's a fair agreement? And your attorney will. And Laurina, what we do for our clients is we provide a list of these legal advisors. And they are very mediation friendly. They work with us and they say, we will not charge a retainer. We'll just charge hourly. So if your clients need us, we're here to support them. And if they use 30 minutes, we'll charge 30 minutes. And it's a great resource that we would highly recommend for everybody, just to feel a bit more secure in the process.
So good to know, because people are often confused. Should we get a mediator or should we get an attorney?
Yeah.
Such great information. Okay, what happens when one spouse has more knowledge of the finances than the other? How can they ensure that they will not be taking advantage of?
This is so common. I think maybe in every single case we see this. Somebody
Yeah.
has more knowledge of the finances than the other. It's just natural to take on a certain role
Yeah.
and others to take on a different role.
Yeah.
Maybe there's somebody who's been in the home and taking care of the children where the other spouse takes care of all the finances. So it's
Yeah.
completely normal, happens every day.
Yeah.
And our mediators are really trained to make sure, number one, that each person has an understanding of the law. We will always tell our clients, here is the law surrounding this so that they both know. And also, we will look for communication gaps. We'll be able to tell if one spouse does not have as much knowledge, and we'll balance that communication. For example, if a spouse does not know how to divide equity, we'll take the time and we'll explain it to that spouse. Even if the other spouse is frustrated and says, I know how to divide equity,
Yeah.
still take that time in the mediation to explain until each person feels comfortable knowing that they have that knowledge. And if that's not enough, we can always refer out to a specialist. Maybe there is somebody who specializes in a financial advisor, for example, who specializes in divorce issues that can help guide that spouse
Yeah.
during the course of mediation. So we're referring, we're balancing communication between them and making sure they have a balanced understanding of the law. We're always providing protection for them every step of the way.
So good. So good. What if one spouse wants custody of their children and one spouse disagrees? What does a mediator do when the agreement is stalled?
Yes, yes, definitely. We see that all the time. And what we do is we really ask the magic question. And the magic question is why? There's always a why. People come in with their what we call positions. I want full custody of the children. No, I want full custody of the children. Okay, let's come together and we can fight like this and battle, but let's come together and let's figure out, Mom, why do you want full custody? And maybe we find out from Mom, well, Dad never did homework with the children. He never went to their sports games. He has no idea what's going on with their issues at school. He doesn't even know how to pack their lunch, right? And we see this, but we know this is just an example, and it could be flipped. It could be Dad who's home with the kids and Mom who's working. We know that, number one, parents can change after divorce, and there's an opportunity to be different. So we know that. And we also know that so that parents can learn. And we know that maybe Dad wants that opportunity to be with the kids. And we tell the parents, based on your children's ages, it's really in their best interests. We educate them to have shared parenting time for their development.
Yeah.
And so we can help guide them, we can educate them, and we can reach a resolution because we've uncovered the reasons why. Instead of, I just want full custody with no reasoning, now we know why, and now we can help reach agreements.
So good. Thank you. Okay, that's question number 7. If I agree to something in mediation, if one of the spouses agree to something in mediation, is it final? Can they change their mind later?
They can change their mind. I mean, they can really change their mind anytime.
Okay.
But during mediation, we have 2-hour meetings. And we start with a parenting plan, for example, and we can reach agreements on a parenting plan. And the next time they come to mediation, we can absolutely discuss those issues again if needed.
Yeah.
It's not final until the very end when we're drafting the documents, we're sending them to you to be approved, taken to a legal advisor, like I mentioned before, if needed, to review them and file them with the court. And so once the judge stamps off on the agreements, that's when they're final. And even in that way, you can always come back to mediation, reopen
Oh,
your discussion and refile what's called a modification if needed. It doesn't happen too often.
mhm.
But to answer your question, yes, at any point in this process, you can change your agreements really up until the very end.
So great. Do you file all of the paperwork for the spouse? For the couple, I guess.
Yeah, we do. There are some mediators, and this would be a good question to ask your mediator when you're finding one. Do
Mhm.
you file the paperwork for us? Some mediators choose just to help reach agreements, and they will resource out to a different company to handle the paperwork.
Got
Mike
it.
and I wanted to make this process come in and have everything taken care of for you so that you don't need to worry about a thing. So we file everything from the beginning, what's called a petition, to a response, which are all neutral, lowers the stress level, and we file all of the final paperwork. So we never set foot in a courtroom.
So great. One place to do everything for you. Um, let's see. Question number 9. Oh, so I can see on your website that you prioritize children. What can parents do to help their kids adjust as easily as possible?
Very good question. And I'll leave our website details at the end, and you can look at statistics about children as well as various articles that will help you speak to your children about divorce.
Yes, thank
And
you.
what we would recommend is really, when possible, and when you're explaining your divorce, leave out the details,
Mhm.
leave out any unnecessary details, and always reassure your children that you're still loved, that both parents still love you, because children can take that divorce on and think, what did I do wrong?
Yes.
As adults, we say, of course they did nothing wrong. It's not their fault. But as a child, not understanding why my parents have decided to separate,
Yeah.
it can be what did I do wrong? Am I still loved? Who do I love? Because I love both parents, but now I need to choose a side.
Yeah.
So even if you're not getting along, assuring your child, we still love you just the same. This
Yeah.
is something that's between us, something that is between us that we're working through. And don't worry, we're here for you to support you. That's crucial. Also need to look at the emotional ages of the children. Are they young infants? Are they older? Because you might be speaking to them differently. Also, when determining how often to see the children when they're younger, you want more frequent contact,
Yes.
because children don't quite remember how often they're
Yes.
seeing the parent. They need more frequent contact. So
Yes.
really looking into those things with the help of a knowledgeable mediator who can educate, and also by doing your own research on emotional ages of children and what they need. And finally,
Yeah.
I suggest really getting professional support, seeking the help of a counselor, a child therapist, maybe a
Yes.
family therapist, to
Yes.
help along the way, just to feel a bit more supported in the process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen. What kind of questions would help someone hire a great mediator for their cases, for their case?
Good question, Laurina. I think knowing that your mediator specializes in mediation, there are attorneys who devote maybe a few cases a year towards mediation and the rest towards litigating. Whereas there are mediators, our practice one, for example, is 100% mediation. It's all we do day in, day out for almost a decade. And you want to make sure that your mediator does this all the time because they have the skills, the techniques to use to diffuse conflict in the room. So that's number one, make sure it's their specialty. And number two, ask your mediator what they value, because we want to know that our mediator values families, prioritizes children, cares about balancing communication.
Yeah.
And every mediator, as you know, every divorce coach is different. Every therapist is different.
Yes.
Every mediator is different.
Yes.
So feel free to interview and see if your values align with the mediator.
Yes.
And be courageous and ask these questions. It's okay to ask these questions. So I would also say, how do you bill?
How do you bill? Okay. Yeah.
Do you bill hourly? Do you have a flat fee?
Yeah.
We work on a flat fee. So we determine where, and we're typically spot on, which package our clients need to be in for how many meetings they may need and all of the paperwork. And we quote them so they know pretty much this is exactly where we stand. We need to come up with this amount to pay for our divorce. If a mediator is charging hourly, ask how they charge hourly. Try to understand if they can give you an average cost for the entire divorce, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
So flat fees tend to be much more predictable in the end.
Yes. Do you mind sharing what your fees are, what your packages are? Or will they be able to find it on your website?
Absolutely. And even better than that, we do have the information on our website. We offer a free 1-hour consultation.
Yes.
We have that with both spouses, where all it is information. So just to come in and learn, how does mediation work and how does it compare to litigation, and answer any and all questions that they have before beginning, with no obligation to move forward, but just being empowered with that knowledge of what mediation is. And so right then and there in the consultation, with them filling out the form and understanding if they have children or assets, we'll be able to quote them a flat fee for the entire process. And also we offer payment plans.
Great.
So we work with a company who offers no interest payment plans for 3, 6, or 12 months, which is pretty unheard of. I believe we're the only ones offering this right now. So they can choose to pay over time. And that's quite a relief for so many people.
Such a relief for so many people. Absolutely. Specifically, so many women. Thank you so much for doing this for everybody. This is so helpful. Okay, what else do we need to know to help prepare for mediation? Are there certain attitudes or outlooks?
Yes, I would say fear is probably the number one feeling that we see. So an attitude of courage, an attitude of, I don't know what this is going to look like. I don't know the answers, but I know that there is one. And I know that we can work through this. Laurina, about 98% of our cases settle. 98%. So even if you feel like, how am I ever going to do this? That's where we come in to support you. That's what we're here for, to help you through every step of the way. So just bringing that attitude of courage. And the second attitude would be optimism. So pretty much I'm telling you to do the opposite of what you're feeling like you want to do.
Yeah.
Have that optimistic attitude that you can keep going even when it gets hard.
Yes.
And finally, another challenging one, but be respectful.
Yeah.
Because you may not like your spouse right now, and that's an understatement. You may hate your spouse right now.
Yeah.
A fine line between love and hate.
Yeah.
And with that respect, you are actually helping yourself, because if you can respect during your divorce, you're going to come out with better outcomes
Yes.
for you. And not only that, when you respect during divorce, it helps your children because they see that you're respecting the other parent, and it helps them feel less confused and more loved.
Absolutely.
And finally, the most important reason to show respect is because no matter what happened prior to divorce, no matter where you are, when you show respect, you're respecting yourself and saying, no matter what happened, I'm going to take control and I respect myself and come out stronger actually in the end because you're staying true to your values.
So good, Karen. Thank you so much. I have one additional question. So, can someone hire you if they live in a different state other than Arizona?
Yes, they can. So to do that, Laurina, we would need at least one spouse who lives in Arizona for at least 90 days
Okay.
with the intention of remaining in Arizona.
Okay.
The other spouse can live in a different state, but one spouse needs to live in Arizona for it to be considered a divorce in Arizona. And so
Okay.
this also helps if one spouse, if they decide they want to get divorced and one spouse wants to move immediately, they can do that.
Very important information. Wow. I thought they have to stay there for a while.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. Thank you so much for all this. Now, I am so delighted to have you here. I am so appreciative of you adding value and adding your guidance and support to people who are going through the divorce and separation process. Um, if someone wants to hire you, Karen, how can they do that? Do you have a website?
Yes, it's very simple. So they can go on www.aurit, AURIT, mediation.com. That is our website. They will see free consultation buttons. They're everywhere and they can click those buttons, schedule right there, and they will receive a link to our calendar too. So it's even more simple to schedule,
Yes.
or they can call our office. We're happy to help anytime. And that would be the first step, is to have a free consultation.
Yes.
And from there, they would be able to meet with our mediators and determine if they feel comfortable moving forward.
Yeah. How many mediators do you have before we conclude this interview?
Right now, we have 3 mediators.
Great.
Mhm. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add, Karen, to this interview?
Yes. Anybody can feel free to contact me personally if they have any questions or anything. My email address is Karen, Karen, at auritmediation.com.
Thank you so much for giving us all this information. Thank you for sharing how people can connect with you. And we're going to link and add those to this video so people can reach out if they need your help. Again, thank you so much, Karen. I had a blast. This was very knowledgeable and very informative. And hopefully we can do more interviews together.
Absolutely. Laurina, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I appreciate the service that you're providing
Thank you
to
so
all
much.
of your clients. And I'm grateful that we can collaborate together.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye. Talk to you later.
Bye.